That was a theme song of some creation. Hello, and welcome to a new thing that I'm going to attempt to do. Since podcasts aren't really quite so regular anymore, I thought to myself, I still need a way to get all of my very good and very right opinions on various types of media that I experience out onto the internet for all to appreciate and agree with. I've decided for the first time ever to do one of those media review threads on Twitter, but I feel like those can sometimes be a bit restrictive, and not everybody has Twitter, and those people are very lucky to not be brain poisoned like I am. So here we are, and this is what it is. Every once in a while, maybe once a month, maybe a little less frequently, just depends on what I'm getting into and how busy I am, I'll do one of these here little videos and talk about what I've been getting into, and hopefully somebody finds it interesting. But for now, let's just dive in and see what the very stacked January of 2024 had on hand to keep you plushy out of the bad weather and out of the post-holiday feel-bads. Akudama Drive is one of those rare Japanese cartoons that comes along every now and again and serves as the perfect reminder of why I got into anime in the first place. It's got wild, over-the-top action set pieces that are lovingly choreographed and animated from the get-go, a pedal-to-the-floor narrative that stays propulsive throughout its entire runtime, and characters that are all absolutely insane in some way, which I guess that's just kind of what you get from the creative mind behind Danganronpa. You don't need to think about a whole lot to enjoy Akudama Drive, just fire it up and surrender yourself to the insanity. Also, Swindler is my girlfriend. Moving from the literal battlefield to a more metaphorical one, Kaguya-sama Love is War's first 2 seasons is literally the most insane romantic comedy premise I've ever seen, and its execution is just as crazy. It stars the upper-class president and vice president of a student council who, prior to the story, have already fallen in love with one another, but the catch is that they're both too damn proud to admit their feelings to the other, and they're now locked in a literal war of wits with one another to try and trick or woo the other into finally admitting their feelings so that they can hold on to that foolish pride. This show has remained consistently hilarious through its first 2 seasons, and the high tension and more serious emotional moments that the 2 main leads get to share, as well as some more tender and quiet moments with some of the side characters that get introduced in the 2nd season, keep the premise from ever becoming stale or predictable. I don't know who will ultimately win this war called love, but I'm absolutely convinced that the payoff will be worth it. From one absurd to another, while you may not think that the idea of cute horse girls racing sounds like too far out of an idea, if you stop and put any thought into the workings or finer details of Umamusume Pretty Derby's world at all, you'll have a damn aneurysm. This one ticks all the boxes for a solid little piece of brain candy, whether you're into sports anime or not. Cute girls becoming friends, determination, hype competitive moments, genuinely funny comedic gags, and characters digging deep to find the true reasons that push them to compete. The fact that so much of this property is actually based on real-world horse racing and history is also just another insane big part of its charm. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into this one very soon. And for our final anime entry, we can dial the crazy down for a bit and settle into something nice, quiet, and cozy with Sakura Quest. Yoshino Koharu is just down on her luck in Tokyo. After trying and failing over and over to get anywhere career-wise, she takes a year-long contract job in the sticks to work in tourism. When she arrives, however, things are maybe a little more than she'd bargained for. The show's main cast are all searching for some kind of meaning and purpose to their lives, and through their tourism work to help try and drive more attention to a city seemingly stuck in the past, they find out what means the most to them and genuinely grow as individuals and a group of friends. Sakura Quest is a story about finding things to love, loving the things you love even more, and finding real genuine passion that can help improve yourself and inspire those around you. It's not the loudest or the most impressive looking show out there, but it's definitely a nice warm blanket when you need one. Yoshino is also my girlfriend. Moving on to games, have you ever thought to yourself, man, I wish Super Mario Bros. Was actually good? Well, this heavily modified ROM hack of Super Mario Bros. 1 might just be the thing that this little series needs to finally get the recognition it deserves. As crazy as it may sound, this ROM hack takes most of the mechanics from Celeste. Yeah, that's Celeste. And just basically builds a really solid 1 to 2 hour game around them that'll work on any NES emulator or flash cart. The whole thing is super well designed top to bottom, and the NES's limitations don't get in the way all that much. It's just a really incredibly well made game with lots and lots of really great level design and some really crazy surprises. From Mario to Mario, I guess. Super Mario Wonder is basically just a pretty easy, breezy 2D side-scrolling Mario game with some fun level gimmicks that range from kinda to absolutely insane. And it's a nice clean break from the aesthetics of New Super Mario Bros., which, oh boy, is that ever welcome. I'd have preferred a little more simple obstacle course gameplay and more iteration and use of some of the better Wonder gimmicks in the game, but at the end of the day, it's still just a really solid little platformer that I was never really bored with, though I don't know if I'll ever return to it either. Who is the Red Queen is a Yuri-themed darker take on Alice in Wonderland, and myself, being a big fan of American McGee's Alice, I was drawn to the idea, and while this take definitely puts its best foot forward with some really attractive character designs and a solid Mad Hatter route, I came away from the story a bit cold because the other routes just didn't quite hit the same highs, and the overflowery prose could be a bit hard to read at times. Still, it's a free download, so if you want some cute girls and some gore in your fairy tale adventure on some cold, enchanted evening, Who is the Red Queen might just treat you right. Warning, warning! Toho fan games are in your area and they're not trying to explode you with thousands of lethal projectiles. They want to break your brain instead. Kubinashi Recollection might just be one of the top contenders to be able to pull off that feat. As is famously known, I am a big dumb-brained puzzle dummy, but I found Kubinashi Recollection's puzzle platformer mechanics easy to grasp and got a genuine thrill as I tugged on the threads and corners of each puzzle to unravel it. You play as Seki Banki, a Nuke Kubi famous for her talent of multiplying her head, which is the core gameplay mechanic. She can throw her heads around, bounce off of them to reach higher areas, use them to destroy bricks, and that's just her own set of abilities. The stages themselves add in an ever-increasing pile of gimmicks for you to navigate your way through, and the difficulty escalates at a pretty fair rate, switching old and new gimmicks in and out to continue testing your puzzle-solving abilities. On top of that, this game just has an excellent presentation. Look at these graphics! They're so cute! The cutscenes alone are worth having a look at, and the music is absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Whether you're a Toho fan or not, if you're into puzzle platformers, then this is absolutely a game I would recommend wholeheartedly to you. Slay the Princess, for me anyway, ended up being a case of the journey being a lot more interesting than the destination. It's easy to look at this game and appreciate the truckloads of beautiful art, and the voice acting and narration are just top-notch, top-shelf stuff. A lot of the individual stories told through each route really do run the gamut of sad, humorous, hype, and action-packed, and it's definitely easy to latch on to the ones that really grab you, and also to really appreciate how many permutations and variations of the stories that you can actually see. Unfortunately, the finale, which everything beforehand builds up to, just doesn't feel as connected to the stories you experience as the creators may have wanted you to believe it does, and for that reason, it didn't really stick the landing. That said, I did enjoy my time with the individual stories enough to play through the game twice to see them all, so, I mean, if there's anything you can take from that, it's that slaying princesses is really fun. Wrapping up games, we got a big one. I began my journey into Flowers, prodded by a friend to do so, which is a 4-part Yuri visual novel series taking place over 4 seasons of the same year. I finished the first 2 games taking place in spring and summer. The spring volume centers on Suo Shirahane, a perpetually flustered disaster girl who had lived a largely sheltered life with her grandfather. Her wish to attend St. Ingracum boarding school was due to its unique Amitié partner system, which is a test designed to group 2 and 3 students together as little friend circles that are meant to last the duration of their high school career. As a protagonist, Suo may put some readers off due to how quick she is to fluster or her perceived inaction and passiveness, but the spring chapter really is about blossoming in all senses. It's through small interactions and Suo's victories navigating being social for the first time that she gradually learns to break out of her shell and experience true friendship for the first time, while also coming to accept that she can lean on those friends to help mend the scars her heart bears from her past. She also gets a super cute girlfriend out of the deal, but not before this game puts her through an emotional ringer where she'll truly have to stand on her own 2 feet for the future and answers she wants. The summer volume stars absolute best girl and sweet baby angel Erika Yaigaki. Similar to Suo, her story also deals with isolation, though Erika's is more self-imposed as her disability has made her feel like a burden to those around her, so she keeps the world at arm's length. Or so she tries to. Along with finding a genuine kindred spirit in Suo, Erika's heart aches to help her friend through the troubles she's facing by the end of the first volume, but often feels like her aloof nature and the walls she puts up between herself and other people prevent her from making a real connection. On top of that, Erika's new Amitié partner, a transfer student named Chidori Takasaki, who has ties to the entertainment industry, ends up being a lot for her to try and handle, on top of her now also being forced to attend classes more regularly and just generally be more involved with the main cast and those around her and in school functions. Chidori and Erika clash because they're so much alike. They struggle to show their true emotions, and it's often a point of contention for the both of them until circumstances begin to show them how much common ground they truly have and how much of themselves they really can see in one another. It's a beautiful story, and I'm not ashamed to say that I cried like a gigantic baby bitch seeing my sweet little angel baby Erika discover her emotions and the roller coaster ride that a first love can be, regardless of which path is chosen. Flowers has me hooked. It's soft and fluffy Yuri with just the right amount of intrigue, emotion, and even a bit of mystery sprinkled in, and I cannot wait to see where this story and these characters go from here. Oh, whoops! Forgot something that probably should have gone back there in Anime Town, but I am so deep into editing this thing now that I don't want to drop this in there and then have to go back and do a bunch of reshifting stuff and making sure all the transitions stuck again, so let's just call it first time jitters and we'll just do a better job next time. Yeah, back to the show you go now. Go on, go on. Despite being a gigantic weebasaurus, I don't read a lot of manga, but when I do, I go all in, and with Houseki no Kuni, Land of the Lustrous, returning from hiatus soon and likely finishing up, I decided it was time for me to finally get on the ball and check this one out. I enjoyed the 2017 anime adaptation, but it only covered the first 30 or so chapters and felt dreadfully inconclusive. And there's no damn way that thing's getting a second season. Let's just be real here. It's a story about living crystal people embroiled in a war with hunters from the moon who descend from the skies to smash and collect them for some unknown purpose. The reasons for this conflict remain a tightly kept secret until late in the story, but pushing the narrative and this world in desperate need of change forward is the hapless, lazy, and maybe even kind of super unlikable at points main character Phosphophyllite. As the story progresses, they become more determined to find out the truth behind everything that's going on and become the true catalyst for upheaving the status quo, regardless of what that may end up doing to their own existence and the other gems who may be content with holding out with things the way they are now. It's mysterious, gorgeous, comedic, action-packed, and as of the latest point in the story, has jumped the damn track in ways that I honestly can only remain curious about as it careens toward its surreal and out-of-this-world conclusion. This has definitely become one of my favorite manga of all time, and holy shit, do crystal people shatter real freaking good. If I had to describe Cheekface to anyone, I guess it would be, imagine cake mixed with Viagra boys, and they might be giants with like a touch of talking heads, and that's just kind of what you get with any Cheekface record. They're really not changing up the formula too much 4 albums in, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. It's endlessly easy to bob your head to with deliciously thick-ass bass lines and drumming, and as always, Greg Katz's lyrics and vocals are loaded to the brim with ironic, though very incisive commentary on subjects like popularity, panic, and success being cringe, and stuff made out of plastic. You just gotta trust me, there's definitely substantial commentary here, but if you're just not into Cheekface's brand of weirdness, I don't know that this album's doing a lot to win anyone over but those that have already bought in. Note for note, this is probably the best Alkaline Trio album in years. I wouldn't call it a return to form as I never really considered them bad at any point, just maybe kind of coasting on albums that were merely just okay for a good while. Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs is vintage Alkaline Trio's urgent, emotional brand of pop punk, always melodramatic and seemingly on the brink of falling apart. Lyrical topics are about what you expect, lamenting loves and friendships lost, and the world going to hell in a handbasket. Those take up a lot of the topic space, but the band just sounds more energetic and mature and even rejuvenated and interested than they have in a long while. One of the best pop punk albums I've heard in quite a bit. No Cities to Love was a hell of a comeback album in 2015. Coming after 2005's The Woods and then a 10-year break, No Cities felt modern without sacrificing anything that made their mid-90s to early 2000s material work. Then they released 2 pretty boring albums and fired Janet Weiss for what felt like pretty bullshit reasons, and it just kind of felt like I wasn't gonna be pulled back in. Despite probably going into this album with a lot of biases, I can't deny Little Rope's potency. It's fierce, it's vulnerable, and Curran Tucker and Carrie Brownstein sound reinvigorated, delivering a dense, textured, and thoughtful album that deals with the familiar topics of women's struggles as well as grief and loss. This one swings for the Woods' greatness and damn near nails it. There's not a track on it that I don't like, and it's definitely gotten a lot of back-to-back listens since release. And that'll do it for the start of the new year. So, I don't know how this is going to work going forward. I don't know if I'll always have enough things I've done to do a monthly video, or maybe I'll just do another one once I have another big pile of stuff to dig through, but we'll just play it by ear and see how it goes, and if a video appears, it appears. If you saw anything you want to talk about, just drop a comment down there at the bottom, and we'll have a good old talk about it. I'm a good influencer, very highly interactive. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a nice rest of your whatever, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!